Hi, Commanders. You know, these days, I'm not really all that much of a competitive player. Just really looking to enjoy the painting aspects of tabletop wargaming. It's a lot of fun. It's super relaxing. And you get to go and do things that are anti-meta, not competitive, but are just aesthetically fun for you as a painter. And that's why I decided to go and pick up some of the Games Workshop Chaos models. They are great. There's tons of detail, they're a lot of fun, and at the end of a stressful day, sitting down, turning on a little bit of music and painting is just a great way to relax. Now, in that vein, and in Rule of Cool, I picked up a Chaos Sorcerer. So let me show you how I go ahead and start to take care of it. Starting off, I'm using an old Citadel sky blue ink on all the panels I want to be blue. This is to help draw out the blue color I'll be putting on as a base coat, and also to add shading. One habit I picked up is painting all my models unassembled if I can help it. For me, it just makes picking out details easier instead of working around an assembled part. My Chaos Marines here are the Violators, so I'm going for a nice mid-range blue on their armor. I'm going to leave a section of ink visible in all the areas I want to have it as a shadow. The end result might look a little cartoony, but that's the look I'm going for. Lots of players don't like painting Chaos Marines because of their armor trim. Well, personally I like it. The look on it is good, and I'm taking the time to give it the attention that it deserves. I'm using a gunmetal here as a base coat for the trim because it really ends up just popping on the blue. Some of these small details just feel like fun little Easter eggs that you find on the model, like these two full finger rings on the sorcerer's left hand. Yes, the shade really is going on the armor that easy. This is Magic Wash. It's a mixture of floor polish, water, and acrylic ink that's just put in together in the right ratios and will only go down into cracks and crevices. It works so well, sometimes it just feels like cheating. Chaos Armor trim looks really great with just that base metal layer along with the magic wash. But in order to really brighten things up, I'm going to dry brush on a even lighter color silver. The pictures I've seen of the Violators Space Marines have this shining silver, and I really love the aesthetic. Except for blue highlights, the armor is done. I'm now going to go and lay down flesh wash, and this is going to go on anything I'm going to have flesh or bone colored. On this Chaos Sorcerer, I'm going to paint the scrolls and his book in a bone color as well. That's just to add an aged look to the paper. I'm thinning out my bone-colored paint about 50-50 paint to water to really go and get this to a consistency that I like. And then I'm going to use a not quite dry brush, but a bit of a damp brush, and leave the flesh wash in the crevices and go over the higher areas of the bones, the paper, and other parts that I'm using this color on. So that way I get a force effect of a shadow on all of those areas. I'm hitting all the skulls right now with a 3:1 water to paint ratio of titanium white. In this case, skull white for Citadel. And that's just to go and get a very, very light highlight. I'm going back over the bone colors to fix up where I screwed up. Time to work on that magic spell detail he has in his right hand, starting off with a coat of Warlock Purple. Moving on to a dry brush of Citadel Blazing Orange. I'm going to be working the orange here into a fade, so I need to go to an even lighter shade of orange. The light orange transitions really well into yellow. I'll be going from deep yellow to medium yellow to light yellow. When all the layers are done, it should look pretty neat. The warp fire spell that I have in this sorcerer's hand is the exact same paint recipe I use for my warp fire on all the other models that I've gotten so far. I love the colors, love the aesthetics. I have no idea where I ended up getting the inspiration from. One of these days I'll remember. Basing red kinda sucks. Individually, the paints don't do a very good job of covering it all. I start off with a Sanguine base and then move on to Mephiston Red. Individually, these paints are terrible. Together, they finally get the job done. Continuing on this model's Doctor Strange cloak, I'm going to work on the deep reds, moving up to eventually a medium red, but leaving all of the recesses as the darker areas to keep in the shadows and just using the lighter colors as the highlights. Chaos Arrow trim I'm putting on the cloak will be silver as well, and that's just a single layer of silver paint along with magic wash. I'm not putting in any more layers than that. There's no need to for the detail. There's touch-ups to do on the cloak. I'm hitting that with Crimson Gore and getting everything cleaned up and ready to move on to the next step. I don't know why the Chaos Sorcerer is wearing a bathrobe, but hey, here we are. I'm going to start with my base layer. It's going to be a mix of Liquitex acrylic black and acrylic purple ink. There are times that I've had the inks not want to really stick well to the Krylon primer that I use. I find that if I'm just a bit persistent, it'll eventually go and coat properly. Next up for the bathrobe tabard is a medium purple followed by that warlock purple again. I find that if I try to go to any of the lighter purples for highlights, it just ends up looking kind of like a pastel purple, and I don't want to end up getting into that particular kind of color range. Alright, so the large open chunks of the model, those colors are done. The blue does not have its highlights, but that's because I know when I put those on, I'm going to be putting additional details on as well, and I would screw them all up and have to do them over again. The trim, finished, and that's fine. Again, I will have some overstrokes when I start to do additional parts of the model, but I can touch those up. The way too big cloak in the back, that's finished. It is a separate piece, should be mostly okay. And the big purple toga, again, I don't think I'm going to end up really hitting any parts of it, so should be fine. So join me in part 2, where I will go and finish this model up and try and pick out as many of the details that are all over this thing. See you then.